Welcome back to the Plays with Cars YouTube channel. My name is Michael, and if you're watching this video, chances are you've seen one of my past videos on the Portland Swap Meet over the last 8 or so years. On the off chance that you are brand new to either the Swap Meet or these videos, here's a super quick kind of recap of what's going on. Basically, every year for 1 weekend in April, there is a giant swap meet in Portland. Car stuff, auto swap meet. It happens at the Portland International Raceway and the Expo Center, and it's actually two completely different events. Most people kind of assume that they're one and the same because they're right down the street from one another. The parking is actually at the dog park in between the two of them, and then there's a free shuttle bus service that runs the entire event long in between all these locations. So people just kind of assume that it's all one event, even though you'd have to pay 2 entries. However, it is two completely separate events run by two completely separate entities and have two completely different focuses. Now, I've been going to the swap meet, give or take 20 years or so, and I've been covering it on this channel around the last 7 or 8. And we had a couple years off because of the pandemic. There wasn't a swap meet in 20 or 21. But in 22, the swap meets were both fantastic, really well received, both by vendors and people going to the swap meet. I did a video on it that actually went, not viral or anything like that, but was picked up by, the people that put on the 2 different events, as well as some local news outlets, car clubs, things like that. So traffic on my site for the swap meet is increasing because it's next weekend. And with that said, I really wanted to do a super quick video before the swap meet this year because my video last year, it was kind of bad. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend it. I'll put a link right there. But the long and the short of it is, one of the swap meets, the one at PAR, went on about like normal. Wasn't the biggest, wasn't the smallest, but, it was there. It was doing its thing. And the one at the Expo Center was just bad. There's kind of no real way to put it, hence that whole video. That being said, that video was caught by the people that matter. So Mike Worthington is a gentleman I've spoken with a couple times now. He is one of the volunteers on the 6 car clubs that run the auto swap meet at the Expo Center side. And he's on the board of directors and the committee and all that stuff. And he shared the video around and got it seen by enough other people on the board and the committee and stuff that they have committed to making a number of changes for this year that are really big. So I just wanted to put on a quick video, talk about some of these changes. So just in case people saw my video last year or weren't real sure on going this year, what to expect, just to kind of let everybody know what has changed, what is different, and see if we have a different result than we did in 2023. Now, all that being said, I'm not sponsored or anything like that. I love the swap meet. It's one of the first things I took my kids to when I had kids. You're a new dad and you bring your kid around in the wagon, and then they start getting bigger, and every year, they're digging through Hot Wheels car bins before you know it and stuff like that. So I'm going to go no matter what, but whether or not you should go is entirely up to you. The PIR side, from what I understand, is more or less the same, which isn't a bad thing. Again, last year it was just fine, and over there you'll find things that are a little bit more racing focused. Lots of used race cars for sale, racing parts, project cars, things of that nature. I've bought pit bikes and things like that there. It's a pretty good time. It's all outdoors at the track. Wear good walking shoes that are good for like mud and muck too, because the vendors, unless they're on the straights or in the pits, are just off the track, kind of in the grass, and it's typically a bit wet in April in Portland, and things can get kind of muddy. So wear something that's kind of comfortable for doing the miles around the track, and also you're not going to slip and fall in the mud. But yeah, as far as I know, everything at the track, Friends of PAR and all that stuff, they're putting their things together like normal, and it should be a real good event. Now, onto the Expo side. Like I said, I've been talking with Mike, and he has seen the video, and some of the other committee members. And here is a kind of quick rundown of some of the changes that they've made in response to not only my video, but obviously vendor complaints and attendee complaints last year, and kind of even before the pandemic, things were slowing down a bit compared to the heyday of the late 2000s. Man, the Expo Center was packed. Every single hall was end to end. Every single parking lot was end to end. It was standing room only. Like, it was really, really big. It's definitely contracted. So they've got to make some changes. So here's some of the things that have changed with the swap meet on the Expo Center side. So the first one is the biggest one, and I think the thing that most people really need to hear, and that's the lower parking area. So if you're familiar with the Expo Center itself is kind of up on a hill. Then there is an upper parking area that's kind of right out in front of the Expo Center, and then there is this like 45-degree slope hill in between the upper parking lots and the lower parking lots, with a couple of staircases and then like a couple of roads going through, but the actual parking lots don't abut. Those lower lots are now actually going to be open for parking for attendees for the first time ever. Again, back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, every single space in every single lot had a vendor on it, and so the only parking you could do was, you know, at the track or at the dog park, or way back in the day at Portland Speedway, which has since been torn down and all that stuff. But anyways, for the first time, there's going to be parking actually at the Expo Center itself, and not just for vendors, for attendees too. So no more of this parking out in Timbuktu, walking there, taking shuttle buses and golf cart rides and stuff. You can actually park right there on the facility. Yeah, it was a lot of spots. I think he had told me here. 1,400. There are now 1,400 parking spots available with this change. So that is huge news. That is fantastic. One of the other changes that goes along with that is the road that connects the Expo Center and the track. In years past, had been a one-way only from the track to the Expo for the buses that were making the shuttle bus looping. Now that there's parking at the Expo Center, you're going to be able to get in there kind of either way. Is what we're being told. Who knows what the traffic marshals end up doing at the event, but you should be able to drive into the Expo Center and park in these parking spaces. Again, that's the whole idea of it. So what has happened is they've condensed the vendor area down. They still have about 900 vendors, which is still pretty good. Again, not as big as it used to be, but you know what? 900 quality vendors, I think, is better than 2,000 vendors where, you know, only a third of them are good. You know, you get what you get. But you got 900 plus vendors are still going to be at the Expo side during the swap meet. All of the halls inside, again, should be full and good. And then the upper parking area and then the rear stuff, all the lots behind the Expo Center, should be pretty well full of vendors. So unlike last year where you had these kind of deserts, vendor deserts, you'd have these big parking areas or big chunks of the hall with like one vendor in the middle of it. That's not going to happen anymore. They've condensed everyone down. They've pushed everyone together to kind of fill it out more. They've also done a really good job talking with vendors, people that have come in the past and then didn't come last year, to get them to recommit and come back to the swap meet. They've talked to vendors about, you know, instead of having one tiny space and like packing it with junk where no one can see it, like getting some more spaces and spreading out, things like that. So just, it takes a huge effort. In order to do this. Again, it's 6 car clubs. They've been doing it for 58 years. There's 50 volunteers from each club that does this in between, you know, customer parking and event planning and things like that. So definitely, you know, a lot of work going into this and a lot of thought. So yeah, I'm pretty excited personally about these changes. Now, Mike has invited me to be a guest at the swap meet, so I'm hoping to speak with him on Saturday during the swap meet, do an interview maybe with him and some of the other volunteers to talk about what it takes to actually run an event like this, especially one that's been going on for so long. Again, 58 years is a pretty darn good run, especially when you're talking about coming into the internet age now where things like this are kind of falling by the wayside. The swap meet's going on, you know, pretty strong. So I hope that's answered some questions for you. So if you're on the fence about going this year, if you had any questions about what kind of things are going to change, whether or not it's worth your time on the weekend, that will hopefully you know, answer some of those questions, allay some of those fears. If you have any more questions, please feel free to put them down in the comments below. I will be sure to either answer them or ask the people that will actually know those answers and get them to you as quickly as I can. Because again, today is the 28th. And so next Thursday is when the swap meet actually starts. If I remember right, the racetrack one, the PIR one, goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the Expo Center one goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they are a little offset, but both are running Friday and Saturday. I will be there all day Saturday, dragging my kids along. So hopefully I'll see you there.